Wrapping up your first year on the job, starting a new school year, how would you describe the current state of the Fort Worth Independent School District?
So I'm really excited because it's my first full school year here. It's my first start of school, and I would probably describe it as a lot of joy. We've been able to welcome our principals, our assistant principals, and our new teachers back, and I've just seen how excited everyone is to start this new school year. And so there's a lot of hope in the community, there's a lot of hope within the system to have just a really great year.
Optimism about a new school year, but any new year I think brings with it new challenges. What challenges does Fort Worth ISD specifically face that are unique to this district?
Ooh, we all think we're unique, but truthfully I think that the challenges that we have probably aren't very unique. Being a large urban district, we know that we're losing enrollment. So that's something that is unique in our area because our suburban friends aren't seeing the same thing. Fort Worth, fastest growing city in America, but not within the boundaries of our school district. So I think that's a unique need and challenge to make sure that we figure out what is the makeup of our school district. How do you plan ahead? How do you plan for not this school year, but 5 years out, 10 years out, when you have those shifts happening?
Well, when you say you're losing enrollment, where are the kids going?
So it's a combination of things. We have had the smallest kindergarten classes in the last couple of years than we have in 20 years. So some of it is just lower birth rates. Some of it is cost of living. As the cost of living increases, families need to find a place to live. And we have an influx of charter schools in our city that we have students going to as well.
The numbers that I've seen too indicate that Fort Worth has a higher than average percentage of families that choose to send their kids to private schools. So are you seeing that impact as well?
So that's remained steady. So that isn't necessarily a change for us. It is very true that the demographics of our city are not mirrored in the demographics of our students. We serve 90% children of color in our school district. That isn't necessarily what our city looks like. So that in itself is an interesting statistic to talk about. But we aren't really seeing an increase into the private schools.
How would the district change if the demographics did mirror the city, if you didn't have some of the kids choosing to go to private schools and get out of the Fort Worth ISD that are making that choice?
We would have over 95,000 students in our school district, and instead of having schools that are declining in enrollment, we would have really strong neighborhood schools throughout the city.
I'm fascinated by this because I do look at tuition, what it costs to send your kid to private school, and you think, gosh, if those resources, financial resources and the parental resources of the time and energy were invested in local schools, it could make a big difference. Do you see that as an obstacle, people making those choices?
So I typically say that the most important component of the school, when you talk about is it going to be a successful one or not, is if you have our families invested in the school. Do the families feel like they belong at the school? And if you have family engagement, your school is going to be really successful. So absolutely, losing that capital, and I'm not talking necessarily about dollars, I'm talking about vested adults that care about children and education, losing that to other systems hurts all of the students in our system.
I mean, it's a pretty tremendous opportunity cost.
It absolutely is.
I asked about specific weaknesses or challenges that the district is facing. What are the specific strengths that you have seen in this district since you took this job?
I've never been somewhere that provides more opportunities for students. And I don't think that's something that our community fully understands. We need to do a better job of communicating that. We're one of the only school districts in the country that provides free after-school care. That's huge. This upcoming year, every child in the school district will be able to eat breakfast and lunch for free. So that's going to continue in Fort Worth ISD. It's not a national thing anymore, but it is here. We're paying for school supplies for every child in our school district. We're actually providing the supplies to our elementary schools and allotment of dollars at the secondary level. The amount of extracurricular activities that we have are unparalleled. Just this spring, we had 19,000 students taking an advanced course that leads to either a certification or college credit. You're just not going to get that anywhere else. Add to that our sports programs, our visual and performing arts. There are just a lot of opportunities that we have, and they're really endless.
When you look at the demographic makeup, we talked about that a minute ago, I think the numbers suggest that 85% of the students in the school district are economically disadvantaged. How does that affect the challenges that your teachers, that your educators are facing?
I think it tremendously impacts our teachers and our system. We know all the research is very, very clear that our students come into our system and they can have gaps from the moment they enter the schoolhouse. So we have to be very thoughtful on how we use our dollars. We have to provide additional dollars, not just for reading, writing, math, and science, and arithmetic, as I say, but we have to ensure that our students have food when there's food insecurity, counseling services for not only them but their families, transportation. I mean, there's so many other pieces to make sure that they feel safe and that they belong in school before we can get them to that learning piece. It really impacts a system. And so our teachers are dealing, they're miracle workers. They really are. Every year in less than 180 days, we ask teachers to do 12 months of work. And then on top of that, still coming out of the pandemic, we pretend that it's over, but there are lasting impacts on our students. And then there are all the other challenges that come along with serving such large numbers of students that are under-resourced.
You mentioned the impacts of COVID still kind of lingering around now. How are you seeing that in your students and in your schools?
In both adults and our students, it's still that trauma response comes out as behavior. And so for us, it's pushing in to have more counseling services and providing through our family resource centers, counseling not just for our students, but actually our families.
We chatted a little bit earlier, you talked about some of the new teachers coming on board this year. Certainly it's been well covered, the issues and obstacles facing teachers, the number of school districts across the country that are facing challenges of getting enough teachers in the classrooms. Mm-hmm. How are you seeing some of those challenges in terms of finding qualified teachers, eager teachers here in Fort Worth?
So I listen a lot. That's like my number one job, is to listen. And last year, in my first year, I spent a lot of time listening to our staff, listening to our community, how we could improve. Literally every employee in the district had an hour, if they so chose, to spend with me, where I asked two questions. What are we doing well? Where are the areas of needed improvement? Loud and clear was support for our new teachers to start hiring earlier. So we've been hiring all year long, and it was about support. So this year, every new teacher, not only did we welcome them this week as they have orientation, but they're going to have a mentor. That is something that went away in the past and now is back. Because if we can provide that support for our new teacher, and be honest. So Monday morning, I said to them, it's going to be challenging because your first year at anything is challenging. But you have each and every one of us to help and support you on those days where it's challenging, to remember, I'm very purpose driven, and I know that education, as we say, is a calling, like it's a lifestyle. And so we know that we need to ensure that they feel loved, that they feel supported, and that we remove barriers for them so that even on the hard days, they know they can get through it.
This job, this lifestyle brings its own challenges that you can't get rid of. I think just dealing with a class full of kids already, sure. I'm glad there are people that love to do it because I would not last a day. What are some of the challenges that are extra, that teachers didn't sign up for, that don't necessarily come with the job, but they're facing anyway?
Yeah, I actually talked to them on Monday about a little bit about that as well. We know that the rhetoric around public education is really hurtful. And our teachers said to us, we have never been accused of anything but loving children and wanting them to learn. And it's very hurtful. We don't get into this business and sometimes ignore our own personal children. And literally said that, like, we feel like sometimes we're ignoring our families to give our all to the students we serve. And sometimes the rhetoric that's out is really hurtful. Mm-hmm. So we said, we understand, we hear you. Let me take that on. we'll take on those pieces. You focus in the classroom on your students. They were very, very explicit that they need to hear more support in our city, that they want to hear good things about the school district, and that they want our community to stand behind them and to support them and the children that they're trying to serve, and not to always dwell on the challenge.
But when you talk about the noise, I mean, is that just stuff in the ether, in the political realm, on social media? Is that parents that they may have to deal with that are kids in their classroom?
So they didn't talk to me about parents.
Uh-huh.
They really were talking about kind of political rhetoric and social media, and the Monday morning quarterbacking that happens after the fact. Everyone went to third grade. And so there's a belief that since I was a third grade student, I know best how to teach third grade. And we forget that our teachers are experts. They know what they're doing. They love students. And there's a balance there. I'm often asked, if you have 50 people that come to you on your right hand and are trying to tell you what should be done in the school district, I tell them, well, I'm kind of left-hand dominant. If those 50, if their experience and their expertise and their love for children surpasses that of our teachers and support staff and administrators at our schools, I'll listen. It isn't that I don't want to hear opinions, because we do. We learn every single day, and I value what everyone thinks. But I'm always going to pick that left hand, because there is value in that collective expertise and experience and a lot of years of education to learn how to teach students.
Are teachers in the state of Texas paid well enough?
Teachers everywhere are not paid enough. I could give you a 50-minute monologue on how we don't value the educational profession. I would love to see, my utopia would be 12-month contracts so that we're not asking them to do 12 months of work in 187 days and pay them for it, valuing their opinion. But pay isn't always, it's not the number one factor, right? But they aren't paid well enough, and I really hope our legislator comes through to show them that they value our teachers. It's also about support, and they say that over and over again. Do they feel like they're growing in their profession? Do they feel valued? I'll take all of that and a pay increase for them any day.
When you mentioned kind of the noise that teachers have to deal with, I think to call a spade, a big part of that, and we're seeing this in districts across the state, across the country, pushbacks on books in libraries, book bans, et cetera, and also LGBTQ issues on campuses as well. How are you seeing those issues, which are certainly hot button issues across the state and the country, play out here in Fort Worth?
Sure. We're like any other school district in the country. For us, it's really important to listen to our constituents, to listen to our parents, and to get their input. If there are material that are inappropriate, that we take action on that. But we're going to be unapologetic about meeting the needs of every child and ensuring that every child in Fort Worth ISD and every adult that works here feels like they belong.
But when a legislator shows a list of, say, 800, 1,000 books that need to be yanked from the shelves, what's your response to that?
We have a process. So we have a policy and we follow our policy. If a parent does not want a student to have access to a book, we can make that happen. It's about that partnership, the home and the school together. We're going to value what the parent believes and work with the parent. We just want to remain an independent school district where we can have those relationships with our families and work together in community.
We see the legislature spending a lot of time on education issues in this past session. this year, school districts across the state are required to have an armed guard on school campuses. We ran a poll the other morning about what's your biggest concern for the school year, and safety and security was one of the options, and I think it drew like 85% of our respondents. So you've got parents who have seen, let's call them what they are, school shootings, enough of them, and are terrified that that may happen. Is an armed security guard on campuses the solution, or is it a distraction to maybe some other better solutions?
I think that that's kind of the problem with a lot of challenges that we have, is that we believe that there's one solution instead of layering different solutions. We've been very successful in the state audits that we've had for safety here in our school district. We've done outstanding, especially in comparison to our friends and neighbors. It's really important to know that safety is a responsibility of everyone. Every adult that comes on the campus, all of our students, staying vigilant, ensuring that if they see something, they say something. I think it's a layered approach. We have safety and security at every single one of our campuses. We know that for such a large system like ours, to have an armed police officer, we have an amazing partnership with the city of Fort Worth, as well as the city of Benbrook, and that helps us with their police force. I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to have enough school resource officers. We're going to continue having our safety and security personnel that we already have on our campuses and training all of our staff so that we can stay vigilant and keep our students safe.
Does having an armed security member on every campus provide you a sense of security, or does it maybe give you some headaches or some worries?
You know, I always balance. I'm all about moderation. I want a 5-year-old to enter a school and feel joy and happiness that they're there. I don't want them to feel like they're entering a prison. I do believe that if you asked a parent, would you feel more comfortable with having a school resource officer, they're going to say yes. We know that at most campuses, at just about every campus across the United States, there's more than one entrance. We know that there's a lot of ground to cover. You know, that's why we've done things like we have one point of entry. We have at the high schools vestibules so that there's one place you're coming in. So I can't share all of our safety features for safety reasons, right. But it really is about a layered approach and making sure that we do keep safety the number one priority. But I do want to balance it being a place of learning and conducive to joy and happiness, and not it feeling like it's a prison that you're walking into.
Getting back to the educational component of your work, what do you think is the biggest contributor to a positive student educational outcome?
Oof. The number one contributor is having an adult that cares about a child. That adult can be the teacher, it can be the custodian, it can be the parent, the grandparent. If a child has an adult that cares about them, that checks on them, that asks, did you do your homework? Show me your homework. Exponentially, their ability to succeed is going to just increase.
Are there enough of those adults to go around?
Boy, so I'm a teacher and I always give homework. And my homework to our entire community is, we need you. We need more volunteers to come into our schools and read to our students. We have a significant population of students who are learning English for the first time. Just hearing them read a book. Retirees, please, come help us. We need students to know that the community is behind them and that we believe that they can exceed their highest potential. So that's my homework piece. Not only please come and volunteer, but bring 2 of your friends. Our volunteer form is online. We need more adults because we can't do this alone. And as a school system, we're trying to meet all the needs of our students. We're trying to ensure that they have balanced meals, that they have shoes if they need it. If they have counseling, mental health needs. If we had more community support to push in there, we could probably spend more time on the actual academic piece And so we need the community to come together to help us.
Maybe it's the same answer. Is that your biggest ask of this community? If you could say, Fort Worth, I need you to help me do this, what would it be?
I have a list. No. I think that's the biggest one, is to find a way to plug into our school system, to plug into schools, and to help our students succeed, to believe in them, to tell students, I believe in you and I'm going to help you succeed. I think that's one. The other is, please sign up for, I send out a weekly message every Friday. Please sign up for it. Shoot me your email, I'll add you to the list, because you not only get really vital and timely information about the school district, we always provide you at least 2 to 3 positive things that are happening in the school system. Because as humans, we tend to look at the shortcoming and not the accomplishment. So that when you're either in the real world sphere or maybe you're on social media and there's something negative, you have information to say, did you know that in Fort Worth ISD, and you can plug in, because when as adults we speak negatively about an organization, we're creating a divide for the student. We have to be in this together. And so staying positive for them, because when we say something not so nice about the school district, that 5-year-old learning to read is the school district. Mm-hmm. That first-year teacher that's struggling, she or he's the school district. That custodian, that bus driver that always has a smile at the beginning and at the end of the day, they're the school district. And so we need to help each other and just tell our children, we love you, we believe in you, and we're behind you.
What are the biggest misconceptions you've encountered during the past year about what's going on in the Fort Worth ISD?
I think it's that. When you're preparing for an interview, any job, you do homework, you get online, you read media, you watch media, and I saw a lot of negative. And I had to come to think, oh, well, the news by definition means something is new or out of the ordinary. So if I'm reading about an event, it's because that's not typical. Coming in and listening to people, I've learned that we have the most caring staff that you'll ever meet, that will do anything for the children that we serve. And that this is a place of joy, and it's a place where children are learning every single day. Like, children are learning in our schools, and we don't get that message out enough. And so I think the misconception I had was that this was a place that I needed to come to and fix, which I'm not a fixer.
Sure.
No, we just all need to be rowing in the same direction. But the passion for education and the love for our children is already here.
What needs to happen to make 2023-2024 a successful school year for the district?
Academically, I want every child in our school district to grow 1 year in the school year. I want our adults to feel happy to come to work every day so we can increase both our student attendance rate and our adult attendance rate. And I want every child to feel like they belong at their campuses. Added to that is I want every family to feel like their school is the heartbeat of their community. To me, that's what success will look like. You know, we take care of processes and forms and systems and a lot of kind of boring things behind the scenes. My real hope, what success will look like, is that we here at the District Service Center are invisible because we have removed barriers and provided support to our schools so that they can have a great year.
If you had to pick one thing, what are you most excited about this upcoming school year?
I think that's the hardest question. So I'm a nerd.
Okay.
I wake up really early because I love my job. And like, I'm not Like I'm actually genuine about it. Like I love my job. And one of the things I love about my job is that every day is different. The best day of the year changes. I thought last week was the best day of the year because we, new principals, all principals and assistant principals together in one place. This Monday, I thought it was the best day because we got to say hello to all of our new teachers. It's the first day of school. The first day of school is what I look forward to, I think, the most. Mm-hmm. I love graduation. Graduation is the culmination of everything we do.
It's bittersweet in a way.
It really is.
Big goodbye kind of tied into that.
And you have to let go.
Yeah.
But the first day of school, you get to see anticipation of a great year, the joy in faces of adorable children, and you see how proud our families are of our students as they send us our best. It is the best day of the year for me. That's what I'm looking forward to, that first day of school.